Kellyanne, let me move on to the news around you lately. You've obviously been in the spotlight. Your husband has been in the spotlight. He's been an outspoken critic of President Trump for a while, last year and a half, speaking out against him on Twitter. And the president responded outside of the White House yesterday. Here's what he said. Got to get your reaction to all of this.
I don't know him. He's a whack job. There's no question about it. But I really don't know him. I think he's doing a tremendous disservice to a wonderful wife. Kellyanne is a wonderful woman, and I call him Mr. Kellyanne.
Your boss calling your husband a whack job. What's going on?
Well, my husband also has been very critical of the president publicly, which is unlike him, just because he's traditionally been a very private person. In 2016, which was known as the year of the tweet, George Conway sent exactly 0 tweets. So this is new. And what also is new is not supporting the agenda of the president and my work there, because when George took himself out of contention for a top job in the Department of Justice almost 2 years ago now, he put out a public statement that many in the media refuse to cover now, which is that we've decided as a family it's not the right time for both of us to have big jobs in the federal government, that he'll stay in the private sector, but that he still supports the president, the work of the administration, and of course his, quote, wonderful wife. So I think in their descriptions of me, what George Conway said and what Donald Trump said are the same. I appreciate the president defending what he thinks is unfairness. That I'll leave that up to him. I was raised, though, in a household of strong Italian Catholic women who taught me that you air grievances like that in private, so it is very surprising to see it be so public. Also, I just want to say that we moved here as a family. We have 4 school-age children, so you don't just, I'm their mother. I could never have just come here and been here for 2.5 years without them. So we made a decision as a family to move here. George decided he would like to do something different with his career. I totally supported that. He wanted the Solicitor General's job. That didn't work out. Then he was nominated or offered the job at the Justice Department. I've always encouraged him to go I think he'd be a fantastic judge or a law professor. And you know the firm that George works at, the highly compensated partners there. So when a wife of a partner at that firm, now he's of counsel, says, gee, go ahead and do something different, go ahead and do something different. It's great encouragement to go take a government job. Yeah. But we moved here as a family, make those decisions as a family. George was very enthusiastic about moving to D.C. at the time. But I don't talk much about this publicly because my first duty is and will always be the protection of these 4 school-age children. Of course. So I prefer not to address it. And if that means people are mischaracterizing me or my boss or even George's tweets, or they're cherry picking because
but does your husband know that? I mean, you're saying these grievances should be discussed in private, and yet he's out tweeting. Yesterday he tweeted, "You're nuts. You are nuts," to the president. You know, he's called him lots of names over the last year. So what does your husband say when you say, George, let's leave this private and not go on Twitter?
You can ask George that. But I certainly have had those conversations. Just for me, I think the media is getting into a very dangerous area, though, in discussing people's marriages, which is not what's been tweeted about. And I noticed a few people yesterday as self-designated marriage experts who we clearly know are not. They are, I guess they call themselves reporters, but what has happened to journalism, really, where journalism has become, for many people, literally their jobs are watching TV, as they are right now, and monitoring Twitter, and then calling themselves reporters. So people are getting dangerously close. Well, actually, some have already crossed the line. I warned about this a year ago, because really until this week, this was my private life, not my professional life. George is not, he's not Bob Mueller, he's not Jeff Berman, he's not Rod Rosenstein, he's not with a TV show.
But he's tweeting about the president.
I'm just saying he can't effectuate, he can't act on those tweets in a way. And I don't know when the feminists are going to write the story about the unusual situation of a man getting power through his wife, but that's what we have here. And some of his co-authors, same thing. Some of these people from previous administrations are on the other side of the aisle whose former colleagues don't really even like them, as they confide in me.
This was the first time the president actually hit back, right? I mean, the president hasn't said anything.
He's protective of me, and that's what people really should take from this, is that I'm not being asked to choose between my marriage and my job. Donald Trump has never made, the president has never made me feel that way, Maria. I know George is quoted recently as saying, I wish she didn't work there.
So does he want you to step down, George? Does George say? Yeah.
Certainly. But what message would that send to the feminists everywhere who pretend they're independent thinkers and men don't make decisions for them? They can talk it and I can walk it. I can live it.
Have you spoken about this with the president before in terms of, look, I'm having an issue at home that he doesn't like you and he's going to be tweeting about you? Had you guys discussed it?
I mean, I didn't say I have an issue at home. You're saying that, and others shouldn't say that either.
No, you're right. I don't mean an issue with your husband.
I mean, saying that,
but it is odd. It's odd that your husband is out publicly trashing your boss.
It's not just unusual. It's unusual for George, who people know is a very private person, who really hasn't weighed in on many different matters over the years. But anyway, that aside, of course, we've talked about it in passing, but he's the President of the United States. And here's something I think is so remarkable. People somehow think they have an equal platform to the President of the United States. Not George, but a lot of people out there constantly attacking the President on Twitter and Facebook and elsewhere. He's the President and you're not. And they somehow trick themselves into thinking, because we have the same platform, I'm the same as the President. No, you're not. He's the President of the United States.
But have you said that to your husband?
I've said it to many people. I'm saying it now to America or to the world. And the fact is, Maria, that I think there's a panic among Democrats and never Trumpers and other people. I think the calendar turned to 2019. And 2020 is around the corner, and they have no idea how to beat this guy. They're now beating back goofy policies that are not going to be accepted by mainstream America, like the Green New Deal, which a former budget director said could cost us $93 billion. They're trying to defend socialism. They're out there. I mean, Kirsten Gillibrand is out there talking about let's give Social Security now to illegals when we don't know if there's enough money there for the seniors who paid into it and deserve it. So none of these goofy policies definitely would have been generated by President Hillary Clinton, just wouldn't have been done. And so they're doing that as an overcorrection to the force majeure of the market force of Donald Trump, I should say.
Kellyanne, it's so odd, though. You've been such a supporter of this president from the get-go, helping him
I'm influential
win the election.
Behind
it's so odd. Somebody said to me earlier, look, I think it's a shtick. I think it's a shtick. It's like a 1-2 punch. He's going to be against him. She's going to be for him just in case anything goes wrong. She's got to leverage, and she's got a plan B. I mean, people are just...
Do you think that could possibly be true?
No, I'm just saying what people are... It's so odd that you're such an important person in this cabinet, and your husband is out there.
Those questions aren't for me, are they?
No, but those
questions aren't for me. The day that all this was happening, I happened to, among other things, it was the day that I was in charge of a briefing in the Oval Office of the President and the First Lady with other cabinet members and other senior members of our administration. There are White House pictures about it, picture of the day of me briefing them. On the one public policy issue the President and the First Lady tackled together, the opioid crisis. So for me, I'm business as usual because, and again, that comes after being mother to these 4 incredible children who are always my first concern. But they're tough and they're strong, and
you've got nerves of steel.
It is fascinating to me. Thank you. It is fascinating to me that the same people who pretend they're worried about someone else's children never gave a second thought to the way they've treated those children's mother for about 3 years now, and certainly 2.5 since he won the presidency. The things that have been said about me, the personal attacks, the slights, the snark, the bark, the insinuations. I can tell you this second, most of the people who have said it couldn't take it in return for a single second. Have you seen this crowd?
Yeah, I know. I mean, the vitriol is incredible, and I see that. What
but
was
I have
it
to be a
caused
strong
your
woman.
husband to do this, though?
You'd have to ask him that. But he definitely changed his mind.
There were pictures of him with the president when he was initially, looked at for that job, and something what happened that caused him to get so negative on the president?
George is the one out there telling the media what happened. He changed. He has a change of heart. Look, I am exactly who I was when we decided to move here as a family 2.5 years ago, and I did what I could do to support George's quest for a career change. And that includes, Solicitor General job was gone. Went to a very qualified person. No, Francisco is doing a great job. But there are so many other high positions that George is eminently qualified for. He's a brilliant litigator. He's not a psychiatrist, but he's a brilliant litigator, and he's had a storied career making partner at a tremendously wonderful law firm that's been very good to my family, as has my current employer, been very good to my family. And the firm where George has worked for 30 years practically, where he made partner after being there for 5 years at the age of 30. It's unheard of now.
No one would want this situation.
And so he's highly
how
qualified.
Uncomfortable for you?
He's highly qualified. So for me, though, but anybody, I think there's a CNN piece out there about, not to promote it on the network, but it just happened to be going on a month or so ago, and they released it yesterday, and it's called How I Became the Ultimate White House Survivor. And I think there's something to that, is that I'm very focused on my work. And I feel so blessed at a time such as this, Maria, to be serving this country that I love so much, has given me so much.
Right.
I'm the daughter of a single mother. I didn't inherit it. I didn't aspire to it. But I'm a woman who's got a very large platform, a lot of power. But most importantly, I want to wield that power behind the scenes, mostly to the good of the country.
But is this getting in the way? I mean, look, we've spent much of this interview talking about this, instead of you talking about
a lot of people
policy.
are going to be mad now that they didn't get this interview because they wanted it, but they want George and I on camera, etc. But I hope I cleared the air a little bit. But this is not what I do at the White House.
Right.
I think you'll be here. You'll be at the White House later for an interview with the president. We look forward to having you there. He's talking to the Business Roundtable today. He's signing an EO about higher education.
Yes, I know he did. Kellyanne, it's good to have you. Thank you so much for addressing this.
Absolutely.
Kellyanne Conway.